10 years ago, Burlacker walks in my office and he's like, "You're fired." September of 2015, I buy the Gallardo. Burlacker walks in my office. Company's bankrupt.
$35,646 every single month. Not for a house, not for a business, not for an investment that generates returns or an asset that produces income. For a car, a monthly lease payment of $35,646 on a single car that James Condon, better known to the world as the Stradman, admitted he was not entirely financially set to afford when he signed the paperwork. And what happened next? The specific financial burden that $35,000 a month created in a content creator's life and business is a story that Koenigsegg desperately does not want you to understand. Because the Koenigsegg Adra HH is not just a car in this story. It is a mirror, a $3 million mirror that reflects the hidden reality of hypercar ownership that the brochures and the YouTube thumbnails and the lifestyle content never show. And the Stradman just showed it, all of it, in a video that exposed everything. And Koenigsegg is not going to like what the mirror revealed. Think about the number in context. $35,646 a month. The Stradman himself made a comparison that broke the internet when he revealed it. His annual salary at his first job out of college was less than his monthly Koenigsegg payment. Less. Not close to. Less. 1 month of owning a Koenigsegg Adra HH costs more than a year of working a regular graduate job. That specific comparison, landing in a TikTok video that generated 614,000 likes and 4,365 comments, is the moment Koenigsegg's carefully constructed image of aspiration exclusivity collided with a specific financial reality of what that exclusivity actually costs. And the collision was not gentle. It was massive, because 614,000 people liking a video about how much a car costs is not just engagement. It is the sound of the automotive world processing something that the lifestyle content had always obscured. That the cars at the top of the aspirational pyramid are not just expensive, they are financially dangerous to own. And Koenigsegg is at the top of that pyramid. But to understand the full picture of what the Stradman exposed, you need to understand who the Stradman actually is and why a specific experience of Koenigsegg ownership carries weight that a random wealthy person's experience would not. Because James Condon is not an anonymous billionaire who bought a Koenigsegg and complained about the running costs to his accountant in private. He is one of the most influential automotive content creators on YouTube, a man who has been building his channel since the days when he was living in his Audi TT, literally living in it, sleeping in an Audi TT and shooting automotive content, and grinding toward a dream that most people around him probably thought was completely unrealistic. He tried to jumpstart the exact Adra HH he eventually bought back in 2015, while he was still living in that Audi TT. He uploaded a photo of it on Facebook. He looked at that car and told himself one day. And then he went and made one day happen through years of building a channel that grew into one of the most watched automotive communities on YouTube. That journey, from Audi TT bedroom to $3 million Koenigsegg, is a story that his audience invested in. And when that story hit the wall of $35,000 a month and everything that came with it, the audience felt it personally, because they had been on the journey with him, and they understood that the wall was real. Now, let's talk about how the Stradman acquired the Adra HH, because the acquisition story is itself a warning about the specific financial structure of hypercar transactions that most people watching the content never fully understand. The Adra HH did not come through a straightforward purchase. It came through a swap. The Stradman gave up his Bugatti Veyron and his Hummer EV to get into the Koenigsegg. The Veyron alone was valued at approximately $2.6 million at the time of the transaction, a car with 4,300 miles on it when it changed hands, already worth less than its peak value by the time it became part of the deal. And then the Koenigsegg required a lease structure on top of the swap, not because the Stradman chose a lease as a financial preference in the abstract, because a lease was the mechanism that made the transaction financially workable given the specific numbers involved. $35,646 a month, every month, on top of giving up a $2.6 million Bugatti Veyron and a Hummer EV. The total financial commitment of getting into the Adra HH was staggering, and the Stradman documented every number honestly, to his credit, to his channel's credit. and to Koenigsegg's significant discomfort. But here's what the reference video exposed that goes beyond the monthly payment. Here is the detail that the Tuna No Crust channel pulled from the Stradman's experience that changes the narrative from a story about one person's financial stretch into something that reflects the broader reality of what Koenigsegg ownership actually involves for anyone outside the specific tier of wealth where $35,000 a month is genuinely discretionary spending. The hidden costs, not the lease payment. The things that come after the lease payment. Because owning a Koenigsegg Agera is not like owning a Porsche or even a Lamborghini in terms of the ancillary costs that accumulate around the core payment. The tires, the maintenance, the insurance on a $3 million one-of-one hypercar that only 5 examples of exist in the entire world, and only one which is currently in the United States. The specific, enormous, manufacturer-controlled costs of keeping a Koenigsegg in the condition it needs to be in to be driven rather than stored. The cost that the $35,000 monthly payment does not include, and the cumulative weight of all of it on a content creator's finances, however successful that content creator is a weight that the Stradman described honestly and publicly as testing the limits of his finances. Not comfortably absorbed, testing the limits. And then there were the repairs. Because a Koenigsegg Agera that is being driven, that is being used for the content that justifies its presence in a YouTube channel's narrative, is a Koenigsegg Agera that is accumulating the specific repair needs that come from putting miles on one of the most complex and most exclusive cars ever built. And Koenigsegg repairs are not like Ferrari repairs or Lamborghini repairs, or even Bugatti repairs in terms of specific challenges they present for cost and availability. They are a category of their own. Because Koenigsegg produces between 50 and 80 cars per year in total. All models, the part supply chain for those cars is correspondingly limited. The specialist knowledge required to work on them exists in a correspondingly small number of places, and the cost of accessing that knowledge and those parts, when something needs attention on a Koenigsegg Agera in the United States, is a cost that the monthly lease payment cannot contain, and that the content revenue from a YouTube channel, however successful, is not infinitely elastic enough to absorb indefinitely. Now, let us talk about the exhaust changes. Because the Stradman changed the exhaust on the Agera HH twice during his ownership. Twice. Not because the first change was wrong. Because the relationship between a content creator and a hypercar that costs $35,000 a month to lease is a relationship that demands constant escalation. The content needs to evolve. The car needs to evolve with it. And evolving a Koenigsegg Agera HH involves spending money that the monthly payment does not cover. On exhausts, on wraps. The car went through multiple wrap changes during the Stradman's ownership, including the famous pink wrap it wore when he first revealed it publicly on December 23, 2023. Each wrap change is a cost. Each exhaust change is a cost. And every cost accumulates on top of the $35,646 that is already leaving his account every single month before the car has done anything except exist. The pink wrap is worth addressing specifically because it connects this story to something broader in the automotive content world. Because when the Stradman wrapped his Koenigsegg pink and revealed it in December 2023, the color choice was not random. Pink was the moment in automotive YouTube where FX Alex G had already established the color as the shade of extreme automotive ambition. His pink Bugatti Chiron had already become one of the most recognizable cars in the influencer automotive world. And the Stradman wrapping his Koenigsegg pink was a visual statement in that conversation. A statement that said this car exists in the same universe of extreme, attention-demanding automotive ambition. And it does. Except the financial structure underneath that pink wrap is completely different from the financial structure underneath Zalex's pink Bugatti. Because Zalex's trading business generates the kind of cash flow that makes a pink Bugatti a marketing expense. The Stradman's YouTube channel generates the kind of cash flow that makes a $35,000 monthly Koenigsegg lease a genuine financial pressure point that tests the limits. But here is the most important detail about the Stradman's Koenigsegg story and what it actually exposes about Koenigsegg as a company. Because the exposure is not just about cost. It is about something more fundamental. It is about the specific relationship between Koenigsegg and the owners of their cars that the financial reality of ownership makes unavoidable. Koenigsegg reached out to Matt Armstrong. That was the story that the automotive world celebrated. the most exclusive manufacturer on the planet, seeing the YouTube rebuild story and choosing to engage with it positively, sending a care package, recognizing something in Matt Armstrong's work that aligned with their own values. Beautiful story. But the Stradman's experience added a layer to that story that complicates the simple narrative of Koenigsegg as the enlightened manufacturer who gets it. Because the Stradman's experience of what it actually costs to own and maintain a Koenigsegg in the real world, the $35,000 monthly payment, and the hidden costs and the repairs and financial pressure that testing the limits means in practice, is the experience that the care package to Matt Armstrong did not address. Koenigsegg can send care packages to YouTube rebuilders. But can they make their cars affordable to maintain for the people who love them enough to spend their last financial margin on owning one? The answer to that question is what the Stradman actually exposed. The sale of the Adra HH tells a final chapter of this story with a clarity that no amount of financial analysis can match. The Stradman sold the car, listed it through DuPont Registry as one of only 5 address examples ever produced, and the only one currently in the United States. The listing describing its life as James Stradman's car as an asset rather than a liability. The car that nearly broke his finances marketed as an opportunity unlike any other for a lucky enthusiast who takes ownership. The language of the listing and the reality of why the sale happened sitting side by side in a way that the automotive world can read clearly if it chooses to. He bought a car he was not entirely financially set for because this could never be the car that got away. He owned it through the financial pressure created, and then he sold it. And the specific sequence of those 3 events is the most honest thing any automotive content creator has ever put on camera about what it actually means to reach the top of the aspirational pyramid and discover that the view from up there comes at a cost that the content revenue cannot indefinitely sustain. The broader implication of the Stradman's Koenigsegg exposure for the automotive content world is one that nobody making lifestyle content about